All right, now it's time to get to Nottingham. Insert your joke from the sad song from Disney's Robin Hood about taxes.
Been a while since I've seen that film, actually.
So, if now's a good time, there is one research I
Actually,
do.
after the introductory cutscene.
Okay. Sometime the ups outnumber the downs. But
1951.
not
Press
in
the start button.
It happens in during a couple of days. Essentially, this is gonna be small trenches where we need to actually free a bunch of places where the camera are using for machine gun extermination. Come on, Jova.
So, okay. I do want to try and analyze what was ground zero for the trend of not just realistic games, but like shooters in general. Like the platformer genre, boom, that's
Medal
easy to
of
get.
Honor and Call of Duty during the PS2 era. Usually, those are the major stuff. You can make sort of an argument, maybe Halo and Gears also did contributed on their own, but their sci-fi, themes helped to, help be more fantastical and such. Even if the photo back then was considered photorealism, did help to spice up a bit of variety. Medal of Honor and Call of Duty instead wanted to have a grounded type of retelling of stuff either about World War II or something adjacent to that, because Call of Duty started only with the more weird shit, starting with Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare. One instead, Medal of Honor mostly entrenched itself onto World War II retelling, which in itself is not too much of a problem. But if I had to say it personally, I probably would have taken any of the Wolfenstein game over that. Just because, they're more fun to play.
If there's one thing 7th Gen did love, it was games featuring either of the world wars, if not both of them, or having stuff behind the scenes on them.
Mostly just World War II, Joe. When it comes to World War I, I can only think of a very small handful of games that actually tackled that, and it's not even a case of, they still do something unique with that instead of being potentially a recreation with more realistic rules, because we have Necrovision, which is a story about how a British soldier during the Battle of the Somme it ends up becoming a necromancer and saving the world from a demon called Mephistopheles because he works for a vampire cabal. Yeah, it gets very weird. And then there's Battlefield 1 from EA, which, tries to be a more of a balanced thing and just say that there are more advanced technology, but otherwise it's still, evoking clear parts of World War One. No, like I said, Medal of Honor and Call of Duty back on the PS2 era or adjacent, because I don't remember if they were completely multi-plant, those tend to be usually a sort of equivalent of a Patient Zero.
I do also get the feeling that we could technically count this as kind of a World War II game. Sure, it's not the World War II we're familiar with, but in a sense,
mostly
it is
because it's an alternate
war.
reality where World War II never happened. Instead, this is the conflict that we get. Because remember, Jova, around the same time, we still had, when it comes to shooter, also stuff like, say, Max Payne, which instead had a more noir kind of angle. And while they were not as fast as, stuff like Doom, they were still on a relatively medium speed, and they compensated by introducing the mechanical slow-mo, which I didn't really include in my analysis because I don't believe it stuck that much as a gimmick compared to everything else. It's a thing that happened, I haven't played Max Payne 3, so I don't know how much different it is compared to the first two, But from what I heard, it's not as fondly remembered gameplay-wise. Story-wise, it's another matter, entirely.
Yeah, but yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from in figuring that story-wise, definitely Medal of Honor and Call of Duty. Gameplay-wise, Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, essentially that stuff. Like, now, it really is interesting. Like, well, as to why people play Follow the Leader, that's obvious. Bucket loads of money it was making.
Again, the 7 deadly wars that you should always pay attention if a developer said around this era, mind you, because these days they don't do that anymore, obviously. But back then they said the 7 deadly wars, we wanted the Call of Duty audience.
Yeah. Which
I did show to Pedro, believe it or not, Jova, there's an Activision franchise that nowadays it is discontinued because it's a licensed IP. That's based around a store that is very in America, I believe, where you live, which is called Cabela's, which is supposed to be a hunting genre game. But as the games went on, they became a bit more bonkers. Cabela's Dangerous Zones 2011 tries to be a survival horror, you know. But Cabela's Dangerous Zone 2013 tries to mimic the plot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, applied to a hunting simulator.
How?
I let you... Trust me, Jova, it is to be seen to be believed, so stay tuned for the future about that.
I best get hyped for that. But yeah, I think that really does showcase that even games that didn't really necessarily fit were trying to follow that trend.
I was directing the battle from the air when I saw Cartwright's squad had run into heavy resistance. I needed to get them help right away. A group of soldiers had just stormed a Chimera mortar position. Hale was the only one to
because of course.
Okay, I have to wonder, is this part of the aliens' plan?
The tunnel was mostly blocked by a Chimeran.
No, you will see.
But I knew if Hale could find a way through, it would turn the tide of the battle.
Alright, next up, if I remember correctly, you're in on the underground and you'll end up actually getting one of the more powerful weapons of the game. Still in Nottingham. Go on, Jova.
Another thing also, yeah, I've noticed that one of these loading screens is literally a man being hung from a noose. I guess this is a good point for me to talk about.
Horrors of a war, more than anything, yeah.
I do want to point out, this was released in 2006. If there's one thing I've noticed that was a case in media from, like, the mid-2000s to the later 2010s, media loved to see how far it could go dark and edgy. Like,
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was nice to see people spreading their wings and, you know, not having to bow to the whims of, oh, this is not kid-friendly enough, but Jesus,
also,
it felt like
just to mention, new enemy type introduction, the Titan.
Oh, of course
this is a big boy. Well, you better stay back, because not only is a big boy, but, you know, he's not ashamed of his size, but he's also carrying anti-tank weaponry, so you probably do better at dodging the bullets more than anything. And stay up. The good thing is that as you keep shooting him, particularly onto the refrigeration, the coolant, the cooling apparatus behind the back, that's your key to victory, because otherwise he overheats and explodes in what else amazing giblets.
Yeah. And you know what? That is cool and awesome, but I will say, I do feel like part of the issue with the mid-2000s to late 2010s was that a lot of things, games, shows, comics, the like, were going way overboard with stuff like gore, swearing, violence, and all that. Like, and that's not to say that there couldn't be ones that used it well.
Here's the weapon, the L-23 Far Eye. It's the weapon of choice for British Royal Marine Commando sniper teams. The rifle chamber is a .303 Mark 10 round with a muzzle velocity of nearly 3,400 feet per second. Press R3 to use the scope. Up and down, adjust the magnification. Hold L1 to focus concentration. This can give the sensation of slowing down time. Also, distraction eliminated. Enemy movements become predictable and fatal headshots become inevitable. So yeah, when it comes to sniper rifles, I'm pleased to say this one is actually pretty good. The headshots really do count, even on hard mode. You have a great way of adjusting, and your basically the secondary fire allows you to slow down time. Generally slows it enough for you and not as a whole for the game, meaning that you can it's one of those slowdown mechanic that allows you to take advantage of it rather than just be a cosmetic kind of performance kind of thing that allows you to have a cool moment more than anything. A lot of games tend to have a slow-mo that actually slows down the entire game, and as such, when you really get down to it, serve no other purpose than to be cool to look at. But in this case, it's genuinely useful for your fire, so that's pretty cool. Continue, Jova.
Like, the issue wasn't so much the presence of it, although there was quite an abundance. The problem was, it felt like people were doing it just because they could, and that was supposedly what was in. Ergo, we would see a lot of shows, even long-running ones, suddenly do dark and edgy stuff, like, remember like this, Family Guy's most infamous era, mainly thanks to the 2010s and seeing how, gruesome and gory and dark and edgy adult shows could be in that regard.
Again, when it comes to... Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
When it comes to comic books, Jova, you have to remember that it has been a thing since the 80s, maybe not as constant, or more marked upon, but ever since the 80s, with the rise of British authors, like Alan Moore, Frank Miller and so on. Well, okay, I don't remember if Frank Miller is British or American, but still, at least people like Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons, those people, or Mark Millar, for example.
God, especially Mark Millar.
It's interesting because also Geoff Johns, fell into that kind of trapping. But when it came to the ultra violence, that was a thing that always has been. Again, Infinite Crisis ideally was made as a critique of that, even if it was more a case that it, almost embraced it, and even its ending was more of a things never really change, and we'll be back to this song and dance very soon, which is what happened. So it's not, again, I can understand shows and potentially video games, not as much comic books, but mostly out of the fact that it has been such a long-running media that it has been more prevalent than anything. It's like saying that, for example, anime, we're not doing it, because I can tell you, Go Nagai was already pushing the envelope a bit with this first take on Devilman, but that's a story for another time. Go on, Pedro.
It also doesn't help when someone tries to have that kind of dark and edgy subject matter and portray it in such a clumsy, childish manner. Because me and my wife, and I also showed it to Shiro, recently found a manga that is it's quite a roller coaster. I'll just tell you this much. It's only 11 chapters in, and yet already we have attempt of rape. By a stalker. We have a car crash that kills the protagonist's family right at the beginning. A love triangle where the best friend suddenly, for little to no reason, starts to strip and tells the protagonist to sleep with her.
These sound like things that could all be happening in different mangas. What the hell?
No, it's like a soap opera, Joe. It's just constant terrible thing after constant.
What's the title? I'm curious.
Let me actually get it.
You may notice in the meantime, while Pedro gets it, that again, the gimmick of this game is to have entire clown car squad of enemies just keep swarming you and swarming you. Again, it's supposed to convey, the oppression and aggressiveness of the Chimera compared to the more methodical and bulkiness of the Lotus of Gears. This is a warning, but man, this is starting to get into serious Sam level of bullshit.
It's the new, it's the new light novel. It's called How Much Terrible Shit Can Happen in My Life.
The actual name is The Sobbing Clerk I Helped from the Convenience Store's Robbery is in fact a naive and cute gal from my class.
Is that
how do you get dark subject matter from a title like that?
I know, right? Trust me, the title is incredibly misleading. It's incredibly
in case you're wondering, Jova, having an overly long title is a sort of a running gag that mangas, particularly of having for the past 10 years at the
I'm aware.
If you had a show called Flower Street, but the whole show was about a dark, gritty, terrifying war.
No, that's the thing. You know what's the fun? No, when they try to tackle these issues, the problem is that they do it with so clumsy and so short. Because here's the thing that made both me, Vanessa, and also Shira, when I showed it to her, laugh profusely, even though it was supposed to be a very tragic moment that you're supposed to be super tense and crying about it, right? It's revealed, guess what, that the protagonist's love interest... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
It's revealed that the protagonist's love interest, she turns out her parents were the ones that killed his family.
So she wants revenge on her parents, I assume?
No, not just that. No, it's not that.
That's basically your ensemble dark horse of this game, Lieutenant Cartwright of a British regiment.
Chimera are up to something more than just digging tunnels. Say, look here, who brought the yank?
By that time, word had already spread about what Hale did in Manchester. However, Cartwright wasn't the type to be easily impressed, especially by an American. Cartwright's team had found something suspicious.
What the narration tells us is that Cartwright might not be trusting, Hale, but for the time being, he's gonna allow him to cooperate. It's basically a start of a friendship. Like he said, Hale does not have the best, or great or much in terms of characterization in this game, but one thing that they do is to actually have him, make sure to earn the trust of Cartwright, and we'll see at the end how that pays off. Continue, Pedro.
The new twist, Joe, is that okay? So not only did her family kill his family in a car accident, it's also revealed later in chapter 10. Keep in mind, this is only 10 chapters in. That turns out, Jova, she, as in the love interest, was accidentally the cause of the accident because, get this, she was drinking juice from a can. She dropped it, and the can rolled right under the brakes. And as a result, the father couldn't use the brakes.
Jova,
Yes.
it's Dark Phoenix all over again.
Oh my God, he's right. Okay, please.
Not to the exact same level, because Jean's car crash was generally more of an accident. It was only implied that she used her powers accidentally to do it. But man, the similarities are a bit uncanny.
Okay.
Hey, Pedro, that's me. That's my new. This is gonna be my new, my new light novel. I read the manga. It was so bad, I started a war over it.
Okay, please tell me that this thing is meant to be a tongue-in-cheek soap opera.
If you go check the comment section at Manga Dex, everybody's asking the same question as you, even though there's not a single hint of irony in the way the manga is written. You can tell the author wants us to take all this shit seriously. And at this point, Jova, everybody in the manga community has basically just decided, you know what? At this point, we're just hate watching this. Let's just see how bad this can get.
So basically, the author took all of the wrong lessons from Perfect Blue. Got it.
Perfect Blue. I think I've heard that one, but never seen it before.
I don't think I'm familiar with that.
It's basically it's actually an anime movie. Really recommend that. I keep forgetting the name of the author. It's the same guy who did Paprika and Tokyo Godfathers.
Ah, okay.
There is some discussion that people are having that when Black Swan came out, might have had that sort of be influenced by Perfect Blue, but I get the idea it might turn out into another Lion King stole from Kimba, so I'm not making any statement that, that can bite me in the ass in the future.
I actually, we need to get back to watching more Kimba, by the way. We actually got to episode...
I can't imagine why dreams might not be super ecstatic to continue.
I offered Blibs the chance to just start watching Inazuma 11, since that's something that he'll enjoy a lot more, but he actually told me, nah, I might as well continue with Kimba. So, at this point, he only has himself to blame.
Well, honestly, I'll just take it as it comes, but forgive me for not, but I'll agree with Tio. I'm still not exactly in the right shape of mind to suffer through more Kimber at the minute.
That's okay. I'll just show you Inazuma 11 instead, since I know you'll love that.
The objective of this mission, as Cartwright also told us, is called Operation Shears. Essentially, Hale is basically doing the heavy lifting of opening up a road for the rest of of regiment, meaning also opening these towers, remove the presence of the the Chimera with the machine guns, turrets, and ultimately open up a way for the rest of the the battalion to pass. They also have a small jingles every time you actually complete the task, and then giving you the idea that yes, you can continue now.
Mm-hmm. You can easily... sorry.
No, go on.
You can easily read the manga on many manga sites. I usually use Manga Dex. In fact, as of right now, audience, I'm sending everybody the specific page where it's at that moment I was drinking some juice, and when we hit a bump, it slipped out of my hand. and then it rolled right into.
You know, I think I actually have heard of a manga whose title is literally long enough to be a paragraph.
Someone actually wrote this, like.
And got paid for it.
To be fair, it's a place where
Okay,
like,
not got paid for it, but you know, allowed it to go on sales, which meant that people bought it probably.
you know, Japan's a weird place where you can actually get paid to essentially craft fan fiction.
It's a bit because copyright laws work a bit differently. Essentially, you are all allowed potentially to monetize on a doujin potentially under certain circumstances, but on a lot of other cases, fair use might not be as identical as it is in the rest of the world. It's again, you know, just a cultural thing.
Like, I've seen an entire fan doujin series based off a franchise, and he goes boom. But yeah, I'm bringing the discussion back to games. I do feel like part of the reason shooters were getting as much a stigma as they did was also the fact that they happened to coincide with the era where grim, gritty, and gruesome was the in thing to do as far as companies were
I
concerned.
suppose.
The Nottingham operation was a success. I sent the troops back to Southern Command for a well-earned rest. I was taking Hale to the intelligence division at Northern Command.
We're going to Northern Command, but I forgot exactly what city it lives, so that's what we found out in the next part.
Let's see.
As we landed, I could already sense the war.
Unfortunately,
you
The
now?
whole place
Northern Command was actually uninhabited at the moment, so we'll have to find out exactly what happened to here.
Let me guess. It was the
Like I said,
aliens.
again, let's just say that the parallels between the Chimera and the Locust is not just over yet.
Yeah, I was about to. That is true. At the same time, I will say that I mean, I get that it's not really this game's focus, but yeah, Gears of War has better gore. I will say that.
There's another game I will make a parallel to which at the very end of the game, but again, we'll wait until that. So see you for the next part where we explore the Northern Command.
See
Yeah.
ya.